Okay, we've got twin 350 horsepower Hondas on this one. You can do it with Mercury's, you can do up to twin 400 horsepowers. I'm just cruising along at 13 knots to 14 knots SOG right now because we've got beautiful testing conditions. We actually have easily 20 to 25 knots, probably gusting to 30 at times. Wonderful short and sharp waves just out around the corner here. So we're going to go into the waves, across the waves, down the waves, and then we'll do a full speed run just behind the island here. And welcome to Istanbul. This is an amazing city if you like boats. It's absolutely ideal. So I got the zip wakes on auto. This is the cabin version. I'm going to make a few observations at the end of this video, and we will be doing some parking and anchoring when we find another location after this, I should say. But we're just focusing on the revs, and I'll do a little bit more when we get back into protected water, but we're sitting on 3,000 RPM. I've got just over 30 litres a side, that's 33 to be exact, and I'm seeing 16 knots SOG. We don't really have much in the way of tide to speak of in this part of the world, except for on the Bosphorus where you do have tide. And I'm just going to increase that speed ever so slightly because we are going to be going straight into some short and sharp waves very, very soon. And I'll make some immediate observations. I love this hull. This is my second day driving it. This thing has got some serious market potential, like global. It's basically a cross between an adventure hull and an American flared style boat. We are on the cabin version. That the cabin sides can essentially be ordered after the fact. So you don't have to order this boat with these sides. I think they just need to do a little bit of iteration on these panels themselves, because as you can hear right now, they rattle a little bit. But it's not the end of the world. I can hear one rattle from that door and a little bit of rattle from these panels, and that can easily be resolved with a little bit of iteration. So I'm not going to put that down as a big problem, because what I'm here to test and what I'm here to give you feedback on is the quality of the hull. And right now we are in short, sharp, hopefully you can see we've got white caps, relatively uncomfortable, and I know a lot of Europeans wouldn't actually go boating in conditions like this. I'm going to give you some Dan Cam perspective from my perspective right now. Hopefully you can see that with my hat in the way. But look, I got great viz over the bow. You can see the white caps all around, and she's maintaining a 17 knot SOG at 3,100, 3,200 RPM. I'll give it a little bit more. And I'm just driving this sensibly because I think that's what most of you are going to be doing too. Yes, the wonderful flare is going to allow us to really punch into some waves in a different manner to what an adventure hull will, because an adventure hull, if you take on the wrong angle, if you take the waves at the wrong angle, that's 20 knots, 3,600 RPM, consuming 55 litres, comfortable, level attitude. Now I'm going to bear away. Bearing away, going to take those waves on the beam. So if you really hammer an adventure hull into some short stand-up waves, you are going to take green water up on the bow. And I just try to talk to people in my videos, just be careful what speed, what angle of attack as to how you drive. But so many of you talk to me in the comments about how you just want to be able to hammer that thing no matter what, and that the current in Florida, particularly when you get wind against tide, is gnarly, coming back from Bahamas, etc., and you want flare. Well, that's what you have on this boat. So she's not going to bury the nose and take massive amounts of green water up on deck. She's going to actually disperse a lot of that, and we have other advantages as well, because this allows us to have a beautiful big entertainment space up at the bow. So I'm just doing 24 to 25 knots SOG, 3,800 RPM, consuming 51 litres a side. I'm now going to bear away before I get in the way of this oil tanker, and we're going to go down swell. This is a lovely hull compared to, or considering the volume we have. I'm really impressed with this boat. It's just it's a go anywhere, do anything style of hull. Okay, now we're taking the waves on our starboard aft quarter. Couple of splashes up on deck, which I would expect, 30 knots. just coming on our starboard beam, and I'm maintaining 29 SOG, and I'm going to speed that up when I get into the flatter stuff. Yes, you could go faster in this rough water. I'm thinking about the wives watching, okay? You still need to be considerate of your guests, of your passengers. Maybe they are not boaters, so what's the point of scaring them? We are doing 27 to 29 knots very comfortably now, off the breeze, down the swell. I'm consuming between 50 to 55 a side, and I am comfortable. No urge to sit down, because this is more of an American-sized boat. There's an immense amount of space, and I think my short little legs are probably going to be too short to be comfortable doing any great speed from the seated position. If you're a bigger bloke, if you're a taller bloke, you're going to have a lot of space at this helm. Okay, let's speed that up. Let's get to 35 now. I'm coming in with the lee of this island here. Bit of protection. 30 knots and climbing, 4,300 RPM. Let's get to 35. 4,600 RPM. We've got plenty more in the rev range to play with. Just give you another little Dan cam shot here. Now we're in the flat water. 35 knots, 36 knots. This is lovely. This is great. Okay, 4,800 RPM, 95 aside, 36 knots. I'm not wide open throttle. So let's go wide open throttle now. Through a couple little bumpy ones, a little bit of engine trim up. 5,000 RPM, 5,300, 5,200 RPM, 39 knots, not in flat water. Trim up, 40, 41. She's a freaking rocket ship, 5,700 RPM, burning 124 aside. I saw 42 and a half. Clear, clear, clear. Let's get into a hard turn, trim down, give it some Dan cam, and go for it. Oh, feel that. Wow, she grips like an adventure boat, guys. I'm not doing it too hard. I'm just doing it at a sensible angle of attack there. Really nice. Really nice. The panels are noticeable. You're not going to get that on the Suntop. And let's just slow down to a sensible speed. So I did that at a 30 knot turning speed, and now coming back to something more sensible going into the waves. Very, very predictable. I like this hull. I like it a lot. I can see a massive market for this. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go from this location to somewhere a little bit more protected, and I'm going to play with the slow speed maneuvering. We're going to try and drop the anchor in a location that is suitable, and then if we can find a marina, we're going to play with the boat in a marina, and if we can't, we'll do some simulations out in the open water. So see you in the next bit. I'm a sailor, not a journalist. 30 years testing power and sail, and today all I do is unbiased reviews for you to help your boat life. No paid advertising or advertorials. Thanks, guys. Alright guys, I did think that rattling was a little bit of a concern on the cabin in Istanbul, so I've actually flown back to Majorca. Emily has kindly given me some time to go for a quick spin on the Suntop version, which we're doing right now, and I've actually had a detailed chat with the factory already, and they're working on some iterations of the design, on some ideas to dampen that out in rough water. But that's why we do these things. It was 30 knots or up to 30 knots in Istanbul, and I'm sure you could hear it was noticeable, but in similar lumpy conditions, not windy, but lumpy, we don't have any noise. Currently just cruising along at 26 to 27 SOG, and I'm going straight into the waves. Let's take them head on now. And yeah, this is just a super interesting hull. I'll let you listen to that. And now let's go side on to the waves. We'll take them on our beam. These are little lumpy, typical Mediterranean stuff. We'll increase that speed. Get her up to about 30 knots now. Really nice. Yeah, so confirming no noise, no rattling. We'll take that speed down swell and downwind now at 30 knots to 33. Active trim and zip wake on auto. Beautiful. Fantastic. So that's the beautiful thing about this boat being modular. You can just order it like the Suntop and put those cabins on a little bit later. Back to the video. This year alone, I'm going to test over 100 different boats, guys. So if my experience on driving all these boats is going to help you with a purchase, go ahead and ask me on Connect. If you have a question, that's the place to ask. Links down below in the description. I got my notes for this closing piece, guys. That was a lot of fun, and I want to share as much information with you as I possibly can. So who best suits this boat? That's a difficult one to answer because I think they're casting quite a wide net. Obviously the modularity, but the different versions you can have with the Suntop and the cabin is going to lend itself to different styles of boating. But if you were going to pick some demographics, you know, anyone who is looking potentially at an American fishing style boat like a Boston whaler is going to see some value in this. Anyone who was looking at a Jeanneau Mary Fisher or a Beneteau on Tears for more of a social aspects is also going to see some great value because this is going to drive night and day better than one of those. And anyone who is looking at something like an adventure boat, you know, call it an Axopar or a Saxdor, and they want more living space and volume. So they want to spend more time on the boat rather than getting on and off the boat. You're also going to see a lot of value, and you're also going to be quite impressed and familiar with the drive, if that makes sense. So that's really, really interesting. The performance feedback, this thing's fun. This is definitely adventure boat-like. I wouldn't expect any less considering the designer, Jaakko. I don't know how to pronounce your surname, mate. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, so I'm just going to stick with the first name. But yeah, he's the Axopar designer, so if he pens a boat like this, you'd expect it to go good. It does. You just have to compare to similar boats in this length and category. They are running with 3 engines when we're running with 2, okay? This hull is slippery. It's good. I'm impressed with it. It's going to do a lot of things. In terms of the construction, vacuum infusion, I'm happy with that. The new factory is absolutely amazing. We might have to make a separate video on that one of these days, but they've essentially incorporated auto factory design, thinking and know-how, and they're transferring that into a boat factory. It's incredible. Everything is laser-like perfection. There is like station, station, station. The boats all have barcodes. There's a computer that recognizes every single boat, and then the machines can go to work knowing exactly what's on that boat as opposed to the next one. Really, really impressive. You don't see that all around the world. You know, they're doing things like putting flow coat where they don't need to. You know, you open up a lot of the hatches, you dig, and as I do, and you stick your head in places you shouldn't, and it's all been beautifully finished, which is not something you can say for every brand because many of them will want to save on costs. They want to make the outside look good, but then they kind of forget about the rest. I'm not seeing that on this boat. And they're designing this with future-proofing in mind. And I believe the concept of future-proofing, you could put the word friendly to the environment. Well, it's not a word, but it's a phrase. in that box. Rather than trying to electrify everything, why don't we just make boats that last longer and can change and grow and evolve with us? That seems a lot more logical than trying to electrify everything and making a slippery, efficient hull that burns less fuel and runs with one less motor, as opposed to a boat of the same size that needs an extra motor. Makes way more sense to me. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Competition. What would you compare this with? I think the Wellcraft 38 is a fair comparison. Used to be called the 355 on my channel if you want to check it out. Boston Whaler Conquest, the 365 specifically, I reckon that's a fair comparison to this one. Axopar 37, Saxdor 400, Jeanneau Mary Fisher 1295 Coupe, and the Beneteau on Tears 12. Notice how they are different demographics. We've got a bit of fishing, we've got a bit of adventure boat, and we got a bit of family pleasure boat. I'm doing that deliberately because I can see all of those activities being wrapped up and perfectly suited to this design. So hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this boat. I'm really keen to understand what boats you have now and what boat you are comparing this to. Please jump in the comments and let me know, because that helps me make decisions on the next boats I should be filming and testing. I'm trying to make this make sense for you, because essentially it's about your boat life, not mine, even though I'm having a lot of fun. So please do that. Jump in the comments and help me out, because it helps everyone out, and we're trying to make boating better with this channel. If you want to do some research on a direct competitor to this boat, we're doing that right now. I'll pop that on the screen. That's another video. Jump in and have a look. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your mates. The algorithm does wonderful things, and it helps me out a great deal and helps me get on more boats for you. Thanks so much, guys. Love you lots. See you next time.